a chiropractor definitely, and I've tried to make this clear with each regular I work with, I'm not healing you. I'm not. Your body is healing itself. God is healing you. I'm trying to find something that might be limiting you, and maybe it can push you forward to save you 2 or 3 weeks of pain. Like, how can I remove a stone from the river and let the flow happen?
All right, well, welcome back to the Pay It Forward podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Keegan Walls, along with my co-host, Mr. Austin Seward. And today we're excited to have our guest, who is a husband, father, and doctor of chiropractor, owner of Victory Mobile Chiropractic, Patrick Isaacs. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Howdy, happy to be here.
Yeah, we had lots of debates and discussions right before, so I'm sure our listeners will be bummed out. But so take us back to college days. Was chiropractic always the plan for you?
I knew around, 17, 18, 19 that I wanted to be with people and I wanted to be in healthcare. And I didn't know what that looked like, so I think I went to the lacrosse center. You might even relate, I don't know, being lacrosse boys. Like some kind of student day, and I was actually thinking, I'm going to be a foot doctor because it makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
This is pre-Jesus, so I just only cared about money, so there's no other cares. And then I'm like, well, that sounds kind of boring, and now I get to work with ankles and feet on anybody and so much more. But I was really tired of my headaches for like 10 years. I think I got them around 10 or 11. I think allergies was the main kind of thing that threw me off course. Saw a chiropractor, Julie Miller, in Alaska, got my x-rays, noticed my neck wasn't good. It was straight where I needed a curve, curve where I needed straight. And I gave it a shot. And I wasn't a skeptic, but I was definitely like question marks, like not sure if it's going to help. My dad kind of had gone for low back pain, so he said, give it a shot. I was 20, headed out, heard the message of chiropractic, like, what is this? What does it fix? What does it do? And then I remember 8 weeks in, looking back and going, where are my headaches? After 10 years, you kind of, men are slow. We're like, it took me a bit. I'm like, how come I haven't had any? So that started it all. I think a lot of people in school, in grad school for, I assume this is the same for PTs and MDs. They're there because somebody helped them. Kind of pay it forward, on brand. But they're there because someone helped them and they want to give it back. So that was kind of my story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So was it just debilitating migraine type things?
Yeah, definitely migraines every Monday. You could count on it. So 10 years every Monday is 500. So I was like done with Motrin, done with drugs. Just like these aren't the reason I have a headache is not because I forgot to take Motrin. Like, what is the cause?
Right.
So.
And was that the only lifestyle change? Was going to the chiropractor to be able to pinpoint that was once I started getting my curve straight.
Yeah, did nothing else except worked on. The big problem is being a student. Like the hunched overness and how much that gives you tight traps, tight suboccipital muscles under the skull. It just all leads to you kind of being farther out, and that leads to tighter muscles, and it just is this system called forward head posture. And it was just hitting me hard, and just all the staring down, and the student life is sitting and leaning forward and down. And I slowly lost my curve. I think also concussions in soccer kind of maybe started the ball rolling the wrong way.
Yeah.
I remember those concussions and going, put me in, coach. No, you're out.
Can you, for those that don't know, can you explain the science, the core function of chiropractic and the science behind it?
Yeah. I like explaining it. I mean, it is my thing, right? Yeah. And I think that if it was Einstein or someone else, Jamie, was it Einstein who said, if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it.
Yeah.
So I'm with that. I agree with that. So the view or the philosophy of chiro, what is it and why? What are we looking for? God made the brain. It heals and runs the whole body. On this earth, we have stress. We have physical, emotional, and chemical stressors. They're there. Everyone has a different set and how much. Even you two probably have even different ones, even though you are both running a podcast and selling houses, right? But you still have a different home life. You still have a different gym life, So
more lack
obviously lack thereof. All right. So so you have different stressors that does affect the brain. It has to put stress somewhere. So the brain, basically chiropractors are looking for how did that stress affect your body? Where did it go? So we're looking for how that might have affected your brain, spinal cord, and looking for misalignments that might put interference in the system that runs and heals everything. So we do that through multiple methods. This is kind of a crazy thing, but there's 100 chiropractic techniques, which is overwhelming. But there's probably 5 main ones, and I've done my best to try to look into all 5 and try to use a little bit of each. I wouldn't do that with Jesus, mixing different religions, but I would do that with the art or the style of chiropractic, because it's all focused on the goal of removing stress from the body. And we do that usually through range of motion, palpation using our hands, looking for joint restrictions and hoping to gently remove those, and then thereby facilitating health in the body by removing something in the way. Was that
Yeah, so
overcomplicated
you
or
talk
simple?
about stress, like you're talking about it as it's like a physical thing. When I think of stress, I think of it's a feeling, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
So explain more
Absolutely.
about that.
Yeah, I think when I tell a woman, like a patient who is a woman, that emotional stress affects your physical body, they're like, of course. There's no like explanation. There's no more conversation. When I tell a man, they usually like stare at me like I have 6 eyes. Like, what do you mean emotional stress? I don't have any, or I buried it in my spleen. It's just here. Like I have it in a box, so it's fine, But everyone's been dumped once, probably not Keegan, but like everyone's been dumped once or lost a job or had that moment where you didn't see it coming and boom, your face gets red, or you just feel like the room's spinning or something. That's emotional stress. That is your body and your brain going, what do I do with this? And that's minor compared to true PTSD or like true big stressful situations, like war, domestic violence, stuff like that, where like people really bury that. But that's kind of what I mean by physical, or by emotional. Physical would be getting hit by a linebacker. Like, how have you ever been hit in a way that like leads to like, my hips don't feel right. I feel like one hip feels tighter, longer, or something like these. Getting hit by a linebacker, falling down the stairs, that's the ones we usually men, you could say, relate to, or like posture over time. Chemical is a lot weirder, different. It's more like, think of like if you have 8 beers, your liver's under chemical stress, and how does that affect the nervous system? Why do we get hangovers? That's chemical stress. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive right into it.
Sure.
I am what I would consider like I've been to a chiropractor, but I would consider myself a chiropractic skeptic. There we go. Holy cow. I got the transmitters aren't going. I probably got emotional stress.
Yeah.
So I'm just a little bit like skeptical of it. Like you explained it a little bit, but then on the flip side, right, you go to like like you throw out your back, you go to like a massage therapist and a chiropractor. The massage therapist says, well, it's the muscles that tighten the spine. And then the chiropractor's like, no, it's the spine and stuff. You got to get it straight. Like, so like, where's like the differentiator or how, what's your view on, like, is it both? Is it like, healthcare, like in conjunction with other ones?
Yeah. I guess I've matured and grown into enjoying talking to a skeptic and I love giving someone's first adjustment. Like, how could you not? If you really feel like this does something, because nothing else is really like it. Like, some people really stare at you and don't know what to say except wow. And not everybody does that, especially the people in like emergency, I can't move pain. To be honest, getting adjusted when you're in emergency, like I can't move pain, isn't that fun. Like you can heat them up, but it's still not going to be as fun as when you're not in pain. But I think I've grown and matured to be more of a team player with time, where I've understood this is my lane. I'm going to do my very best to be, to give my patient my best and try to figure out, is chiropractic the number one thing that they need? And then I've matured to realize sometimes no. Like sometimes no, it's you need massage. Sometimes you need a life change. Like, go down the rabbit hole of cause. Like, is it really the right thing ethically to adjust someone forever and never talk to them about how their job is causing those problems? So I think massage, they are my brothers and sisters. So are PTs. I see them as my brothers and sisters. Not all of them see them as me as their sister or brother. Their brother. But, like I'm a team player. I kind of have grown to respect some of my besties are PTs. One in Alaska. And I gravitate towards them now because I realize their wisdom and how they are helping people. And I don't need to compete with them. I'm doing my thing. And hopefully we can it's funny, like this brings up healthcare. Like, should we all integrate? Like, should we be, should we have a team of everybody? And I don't have the answer because I'm actually part of both in some ways. I'll sometimes integrate with the team and sometimes I will do my own thing. But I know now through 1,000 stories, maybe 1,000 people I've worked with. I know that sounds like a lot, but it has been 9 years. So 1,000 people, I've watched them get better and try nothing but chiro. So I definitely have come to this spot, this repeated phrase about chiropractic, and it's chiropractic can help anyone, but not everything. Meaning, if someone presents to me, even a friend just asking, and they talk about their thing, I'm gonna tell them, and they're thinking, is chiropractic gonna help this? Like, I kind of know now if chiropractic's going to be the first best thing or maybe not. Like, maybe we need to actually strengthen the core, strengthen the glutes. Maybe we need to see an MD about that. Those sound like the red flags of this, I've just become less chiropractic can heal everything and more it can help anyone. It is a delineation. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you recommend people come to when they have like an acute injury, or is this something that people should always do no matter what, even if you're feeling fine?
I think kind of like a church, and a chiropractic practice, the body of the people you work with is an eclectic mix. Like, I see people when they are at their worst, why would I turn them away? Like a church, like, why would you, if they're asking for help, asking for prayer, why would you be like, ooh, it's been a little too long. Maybe you can go down the street, like, I will definitely help that person every time. But I would say it's more the people who are trying to put in some kind of maintenance of like twice a month are the happiest people. I mean, if it's, I've tried to create Victory to be great for try to get the most out of the adjustment and good for the budget and make sure that everyone's winning. So most of my practice is every other week or every 2 weeks because that through research, this is fun. We've actually done research where we put a fixation was set into the joints of animals. And we check how long until things start to wear down a little bit worse. Like, when did they get to the next stage of degeneration where cobwebs and fixations start to form, and 10 years later, we don't even have a disc anymore between the joints and there's like jagged bones. It's called degeneration level 3 or 4. When does that first stage happen? If you get a fixation, let's say you get tweaked and your hip is just, it's not right and it's not going away. Around 10 to 14 days is stage 1 just begins, where it would be great to get that removed before we start going towards stage 2 in the next year, So usually every 2 weeks is where most of my people are happiest. They're you could say their base level of life enjoyment and, greater motion, less pain, better sleep, things like that are just higher. Like, their base level every day is higher. Like they're at least vibing at 80%. So,
so those stages, where's the stage where I can't fix it, right? Like, it's beyond repair. We can do our best to kind of maintain.
Thankfully, 10 to 15 years. That's stage 4 where like, hey, we've got so much bony changes. The only thing a chiro can do, and sure, some people will put in the work and do 3 times a week forever care, like just you're always there. That stage, the best thing we can probably do with our hands is to stop it from getting worse, but changing the matter, the bones back to when you were 20, it probably can't happen. So
10 to 15
10 to 15 years. So you're good. You could wait another 10 to 15 years. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I was just making sure, if it's 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days. No, but 10 to 14 days is when that beginning of spinal fixations start.
I'm the guy that only comes when I have an issue, right?
Yeah.
And then I will go into maintenance for a little bit, and then I'll go on a trip or something will happen, and I forget to reschedule, and it's, for a lot of busy people, it's the last thing on your mind to think, I got to schedule that and do that.
Of course.
So,
that's why mobile's better. I just visit you.
Right. So we can talk about that in a little bit. But
kidding.
I always struggle with, so I have, like, for example, I threw up my back last week. I haven't been to the chiropractor yet, but I always struggle with, is it the chiropractor that's making the difference in healing, or is it just my body giving time to heal?
Oh, you're onto something.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I don't think this is negative or unhealthy skepticism.
Yeah.
I think this is like thought,
Yeah.
or reason, logic.
like, I feel better after
Yeah.
2 weeks, but
Yeah.
that's kind of why I haven't been, is like, am I going to naturally feel better just
we
on
should
my
give
own?
we should give credit to God. He created a body that heals itself.
Yeah.
And or you can pray and receive healing.
Yeah.
Like, so a chiropractor definitely, and I've tried to make this clear with each regular I work with, I'm not healing you. I'm not. Your body's healing itself. God is healing you. I'm trying to find something that might be limiting you, and maybe it can push you forward to save you 2 or 3 weeks of pain. Like how can I remove a stone from the river and let the flow happen? So you're healing yourself. Your body heals itself. It's a magnificent thing. It's probably why I'm still in this, because it's wondrous. I don't use that word a lot, but it's cool that your body, you get a cut, it heals. You break a bone, it heals. Like we heal ourselves. And I think we have lost that in healthcare a little bit. We think we need to go get a pill or a surgery to fix ourselves, which sometimes we do, but we've forgotten that the body is good at healing. Like as an example, a common cold virus might come in. What happens? Well, your body sees it, recognizes it, tries to formulate a specific plan of antibodies and tries to get rid of it and deal with it. So your body is self-regulating. It adapts. It heals by itself. I guess a chiropractor's goal would be to take some weeks off of that. Maybe remove a stone from the river and push you forward the right direction. So you're right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You discussed you're mobile, right?
Yeah,
so you don't have a physical space. You go to people. Talk more about that and the benefit you've seen.
It definitely is contrarian. Like people kind of, you hear silence or like you throw people off in a good way when you say, "Where's your office?" I go, "Where are you?" So, I consider myself like a food truck or like I'm bringing the euros. And if people want the euros, they can pay for the euros. But like, meaning like I go to about 7 businesses and they always ask, "How does this work? Do we have to pay for our people?" And I've talked to a couple, and I think it's a good idea. Like, imagine the benefit to the employees saying, "We care about you here. We actually want to take care of you more than a pizza party once a year. Here's four adjustments taken care of for you. Like you can use them on us." I mean, what a great way to like benefit your people. Or massages. Some kind of like, "Hey, we care about your health. Use these whenever." Because especially with someone coming to the office, I only need 6 feet by 4 feet. Like I've been in closets, Yeah, I've been in tight spaces and we laugh and we get it done, but I don't need much room. And there's been some big hits with some offices in the area. And there's been hits where I just work with one person, and they want privacy. That's a conversation too with mobile, like getting the amount of privacy the patient wants. Yep. Usually it's basically kind of a mixed privacy thing, maybe a half wall, maybe a corner, but it's per patient. But being mobile, it is weird when I get a call, new patient, and I'm like, and they didn't know I was mobile because their friend just said, "See Patrick."
Yeah. And
it's been a lot of fun. And the best thing I like about mobile, besides everything a patient gets, like convenience and everything about how the model is very different, is I get variety every day. And I think I've learned that I need, as a person, as Patrick, I need variety. And I think that like it's just a healthy thing to keep it fun. You have to have fun. So.
Yeah. So do you mainly go to businesses, or if I'm a client, will you come to my house individually, or?
Yeah, I try to look up the stats on, how much is house call, visiting a house versus businesses. And it's 30% businesses right now, and 70% of the patients I see are at their house.
Okay.
And think of like, I do see one person all the time. La Crosse has a lot of one-person stops because if you're a family, you probably move to West Salem or Holman sometimes, not everybody.
Yeah.
But if you're a bachelor, you're probably in La Crosse. That's where the life is, and that's where the other bachelors are. Just a demographic comment. But my point is, Jamie, you can edit that out. But just kidding. My point is, the perfect, group for me would be, man, we're busy. You got 3 high schoolers, and they're in hockey, basketball, and dance, and they're like, we got something every night. But if you come at Wednesday at 6, I mean, that would work for us. Nothing else would. Like they couldn't bring their whole caravan at one time to a place, So that when I show up and they're still cooking dinner and they just swap out who gets adjusted, perfect. Everybody, like that's what I want. Yeah. Is it for their lives to keep going and they got the care they needed and their life is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you come up with that idea? Obviously, it's a flooded or saturated market a little bit. A lot of chiropractors. Yeah. So when did you decide? Like, was it like did you want to provide that convenience, or was it, look, I gotta set myself apart somehow, or how did you come up with that idea?
No, that's a great question. I will say in a fun way, I'm gonna call the statement that chiropractic in La Crosse is a saturated market. I'm gonna call that a myth, because 90% of La Crossers don't get adjusted. So that's a lot of people that have, either have no idea what it does or their grandma went once and didn't like it. Like there's just not only 10% of people get, I mean, I've talked to others, it's probably more like 5% of people get adjusted. But I also see no competition at all really with regular brick and mortars because I'm completely different. Like I provide a specific service. And I've asked my regulars, like, how much do you like the mobile part, or did you just see me because your friend said, see Patrick, And it's been an interesting mix of answers. Some people are like, the mobile is why I see you. And I'm like, it's not my dad jokes. Like, you don't like my bedside manner or my wicked skills. Yeah, I don't. Let's talk about when I came back to town. In spring 2019, I made a visit to check out an office that is an office now. And it was beautiful. I was like, this could be a great spot, and it's in the right central location of the area. And the build out was probably going to be $100K. And I'm like, I'm like, man, that doesn't really motivate me. Like, I don't want to be motivated by fear and money. I want to be motivated by passion and health and love and people. Who doesn't want that instead? Yeah. But man, another $100K. I'm like, I've already done that. Like, I was an associate in the cities, and it was a good experience. I learned so much just being a grunt and like adjusting all day, and I didn't have to run it. But eventually, I kind of hit my ceiling. I kind of stopped growing, and I had a big heart to get back to lacrosse. And one big reason was to do campus ministry, mixed, some hours a week. We'll talk about that later. But guess who I ran into at Caribou, at his office? Dave Dwight.
That's what I was going to guess.
I was so excited. This is a good story. I was so excited about this build out. You get a little, what's the word? Impulsive. Like, let's do it. If a bank will let me, I could make it a beautiful space, But he and I had a conversation, and he didn't really even know that he was pushing me towards mobile. But it was this dream, that I had set aside, that I'd never done yet. And it's kind of like, well, if not now, when? Like, if I'm moving back, I'm probably staying back. I love lacrosse for my reasons, and they're common. It's a beautiful place, and my family's here. My mom and my dad, my sister. My point is, he kind of convinced me, kind of forced me. To look at, like, dude, what's your plan? That was his main question: is what's your plan? Because he's seen businesses have a cool idea, but not succeed. One example he brought up was Topgolf in Sparta. I hope that someone watching doesn't feel pain, because they tried it and failed. But he was just asking that question gently to that person, like, how do you have a plan for this to succeed financially so it exists? It can't just be something somebody tries once, because it won't work long term. So he kind of pushed me to see, and he kind of helped me get to these epiphanies, probably through the Socratic method. That we have 25 offices, right? So if you're talking about saturated, sure. I know the public feeling when you see like a new strip open up and one's a dentist and one's a chiro. You're like, another? Yeah. Come on. Can't we get another Chipotle? Can't we get help me out. We got 5 guys.
Red Robin. I'm waiting for
Red Robin. Can't we get a Red Robin? Like, where's the Froyo in town? Where's the this? Where's the Costco? Don't get me started. But Costco protein bars, the best ones.
Out in Holman.
Out in Holman in that field. Why not? Come on. Josh Newman, make it happen. So we do have 25 offices. So I see why it'd be saturated, right? Like, you don't need all 25. So maybe we have enough, right? So that was we have enough of those. Why don't we have something different? So it was more a dream mixed with a need. And, when you're talking about capitalism, I do believe businesses should exist if they need to exist, and should fail if they don't need to exist. That sounds kind of mean, but it's okay. So yeah, that's kind of how it started, was, okay, let's do this. And then low overhead helps you feel like you can, that you can do it from your heart, and you can do it not out of fear, not signing up people for $5,000 contracts when they have a little bit of neck pain and be like, all right, it's going to be 50 visits. Come back, see me on Friday. Not everyone really was looking for that. Don't want to ask the patient, what do you want? Of course, they want to get completely better from something in one visit, right? It's not always how the body heals. It sometimes takes time. But I would say it's Dave Dwight's fault mixed with a dream, and he Socratically brought me there. So
yeah, I think that's great. And I think in today's age, everything is about speed and efficiency. And as people get busier, like I'm thinking of the guy at my tailor who does custom clothes and tux fittings and stuff like that. The dude's always bugging me to come to my office to sell me clothes. But I'm a dude. I hate clothes shopping. Absolutely hate it. Everything I have is because my wife or mother bought it for me. But you know what? But that's his niche as he comes to you and does it because you're never going to do it yourself. So
True.
I think and combined with the low overhead and starting something and knowing that you can have a higher risk tolerance when you have low overhead. And I think of when I got started in real estate, because I lived in my owner-occupied duplex, it allowed me to be really aggressive in growing my business. Of
course.
Because I knew my four walls were covered regardless.
Wind at your back.
Yeah.
You know, not sinking.
Yep.
And not moving from fear. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of truth in that and identifying a niche and who your niche client is and going after it.
Can I come back to you guys and ask you, have you ever been adjusted?
Yeah, I used to go regularly.
you
So
said-
like I said, whenever I have an issue, I usually go and I go for a couple
fix it.
months, and then something happens and it falls off,
Sure.
and I don't
Yeah.
go anymore. So
And Keegan?
Yeah. I mean, I went a couple times, same reason. I mean, I just blew out my lower back.
Really?
Couldn't even stand up straight,
Didn't know that.
but was training to get in really nice beach shape for Kauai. So I continued
Amen.
to work through it, but went a couple times, and it was just weighing the cost, and I'm rehabbing.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing that Austin had already asked you of like,
Yeah.
it felt like my rehab was doing it more so than the
That's why
adjustments. But it may,
yeah.
maybe
I've gotten there too, though. Like I've started to steal from the PTs, and not literally, but like I've seen their wisdom, and now every year I've done more coaching with each patient. Obviously unpaid. I'm not a la carte. A visit is a visit. So whatever we're doing. But like, why would I not tell someone and coach them how to squat properly and coach them to get a stronger core? I'm realizing the wisdom there that I can't just crack everything right. But what if those twists, those bends are still there? You know, your training's going to be limited. But yes, of course, you got to steal from the PTs and see their wisdom. And I've started to become the most PT chiro I know. If I can
There you
say
go.
that. Yeah.
Well, we just coined it. Now it's out there.
Oh,
so.
well, hold on. You know, some people will disagree to say, no, I'm more PT. Meaning like, you know, I'm willing to do therapeutics, coaching, stretching, you know, teaching how to stretch or strengthen things more than most, I think, now that I'm seeing the wisdom of it. And what do I get financially for that? Nothing, but I get to see people win. So,
And then did you do some schooling, like when you're coming through, focusing more on just the spine, any like nutrition?
yeah.
And
No, I have some regrets. Went to UWL, learned about birds,
there you go.
theater appreciation.
Everyone's
really,
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else was just like, it made me smile. Like, what is this for? Like, you know, like I feel like 90% of the classes I got done with do not apply at all, but they were fun. One time I had to collect 16 like brushes from the marsh, or like, well, they're called sedges, grasses, and wedges. Somebody knows. One listener knows what that is.
One person's just pumping.
It's yes,
what they're thinking.
aquatic vascular plants. Yes. So I had to take 16 up and dichotomize, put them in a dichotomous key, and go, this is how you know this is this, because it has 2 leaves and it's brown. And it's like my undergrad barely meant anything. You know, I got the degree and moved on. Right. Thank you for all the chemistries, UWL. Like, how much do I use chemistry? Fine. It's a precursor to biochemistry, which is a precursor to nutrition. So fine. But when I got to chiro school, my regret. My regret was I should have done exercise sports science, because I had no idea that God was going to lead me towards working with so many athletes like the way I do. I just did general bio. So that's a mistake. If anybody's listening and they're like 19 or 20, maybe go ESS, you know, like to get that undergrad. It would have applied so much more. In action and origin and insertion of muscles, what are they doing? I've had to learn it now, you know, so like during practice instead of in school. So, yeah.
And then let's dig in a little bit. You've mentioned your faith a lot and how God guided you to where you are. Just share that story, because were you in school? Like, were you in school before you'd like come to faith in Jesus, or how did that all happen?
Yeah, I started school and I was doing my own thing, and I don't know, kind of having a prodigal son year, I would say 2008. And then, I was at a party and God met me there, and the room slowed down and he said, "You're not happy?" And I said, "I know." I didn't know what to do with all that though. I felt that emptiness, and it was fall 2007. The years that we were playing Wii and our parents were pulling their hair out over the market. And the iPhone came out. And anyway, I was at Code Hall and then went on a trip down to PCB, Florida with crew, shout out, and realized I did not know like the main message of Christianity. I was still in this cycle of like, God's mad at me. I better make up for my bads with some mission trips. So got hit in the head with that, died. Old Patrick died. New Patrick was born. So mid-college is when I started to grab onto Jesus and he started to transform me. After that came Chiro. And so Chiro and Jesus have been the passion since late college. And I went up to Northwestern Health Sciences. It's a school in the Twin Cities. And that was a funny moment. I got there and I'm like, where's the Bible study? I just left crew and all that training on how to lead a Bible study, how to lead someone to Christ. There was no Bible study. And I'm like, oh, man, because I thought, just like the viewers might think, I thought Northwestern means, one of those Christian schools up there. And no, it was the 1,000 person small little school, so there was nothing. I think the professors, this sounds mean, but they kind of laughed at me in a lunch line once. I said, did this have like a Christian beginning or something? Like what? I thought it was the other Northwestern. They're like, no. Anyway, so act of faith, day of the club thing, spontaneous. We talked about gifts earlier. I don't have all the gifts. Like I'm usually 5 minutes late. But 10
minutes today.
Yeah. Oh, hey! I thought that was off the record. It's 10:34. Man, Holman's so far from La Crosse.
It is unbelievable.
What did I do by Holman? Just kidding. But I do like it out there. But so like I started a Bible study, and it wasn't huge. People came, and then I was like, God, I need help. Like I don't have all the gifts. I don't know if you've ever been here before. Like you started a podcast, you realized you need some help in some spots. Keegan and I were talking about how we're not the most organized of people we know. Like my wife, she's got it. Yeah. I don't have that gift. It's come slowly. But, when you own your own thing, you notice quickly you're not good at all of the things. Mm-hmm. You need to hire out. But I was like praying for help and praying for like, can I get some help with this? Because if, a little bit of help comes in and it could go boom, and it did. And so God gave me some mighty men, David's mighty men. Gave me some guys with biblical names, Philip, Matthew, or like Matthias and Isaiah, and I'm like, great biblical names. And they kind of like, once we got more leadership, I still remember the night that we're like, oh my gosh, this Bible study on a secular campus got so big, we're gonna have to split it or something. So that was a cool moment. It was called The Rock. But yeah, this whole time I just, how do you mix it? Your faith, how do you approach everything? I've tried to see it as, I knew Chiro would give me one-on-one trusted relationships, a bridge where I could have conversations, do some listening, and then also check the soil, see if someone is interested in the best gift that I have, which would be hope in Christ. And how can I, if I see a hunger, how can I share that in a professional way? Try to read the room. Usually I throw out a seed or two, check the soil, water it. Sometimes seed gets trampled. There's no interest. And Dave Twite, second reference. I haven't mentioned C.S. Lewis yet, but I will get there by the end of the hour. If anyone knows me. But Dave Twite, he says, raise your flag early, not often. I'm with that. He says it's worse to like hide that you're a Christian for 2 years and then surprise, I'm a Christian. But often can be annoying, so. But yeah, I just try to check the soil, throw a seed with my the relationships I've built with my patients, and because it's one-on-one, I get those reoccurring check-ins, and I can really get to know someone. I think as a personality, I think chiropractic has been perfect, or healthcare in general, for that.
That's awesome. And then you mentioned that you came back for crew. Are you still involved with crew ministry, or are you still doing stuff outside of work for them? That
is another calling. I'm sure you guys can relate on having more than one calling, right? And so I was so familiar with La Crosse campus, and I had hung up campus ministry on the shelf and just gone, well, it's not over, but not right now. Getting through grad school, starting to practice, didn't do that. In the cities, I kept growing. I was at churches. I was in Bible studies. I was growing. Sometimes I was still discipling people at school, or you could say mentoring them, meeting weekly over coffee and trying to pour into them, mostly from the Word. But my heart just couldn't turn off. The calling to be back on campus was still strong. So, and I think about this, 2,000 people enter our city every August, new ones. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of people. And I know some people overlook 18-year-olds, because they're young, right? There's a verse on that. But I just cared enough to be like, are you ready? Tress and I would sometimes visit back and just, get teary-eyed about, some very strong churches in the area and family here and the beauty of lacrosse and the campus, and just go, when are we going to do it? We would just we've seen lacrosse as a gem, loving the size. And then finally we're like, I want to be a part of that. I mean, it's good to be, you're either sending or going if you care about lost souls. And sending would be like being part of a team financially, like supporting a crew staff or any staff on church staff. Help me out. Oh, InterVarsity. That was another one. Maybe the Newman Center. Like they finally came. There's other groups doing good things, but I'm saying I was like wondering what it could look like to be a volunteer, and volunteer with crew has changed to allow tons of flexibility. So it's kind of like the hours you can give, we'll take it, especially when you have trust with the leader. And so what it looks like right now, and I remember as Victory grew too fast because of the pandemic, people were like, you'll come right to me? Sounds good. we were kind of stuck at home. What chiropractor could do much except, well, I can come to your house and then just ask what they want to do with masks and try to mimic. But I remember 2020 or 2020, 21, 22, my ministry time started to go down, and I felt that I was missing something, not just me, but I felt that I was losing the balance of wanting to do both because Victory kept growing and I didn't yet have an employee to help with scheduling. So got an employee and then felt like it's time to like start jumping back in. So started asking the leader, Luke and Becca Rickert, what are the right things to be a part of where I can make a splash and I can help carry the load, because like with, the crew movement probably has about 300 people in it and there's probably 3 or 4 guy staff. It's like, that's not a lot. So my point is, it's my favorite thing has been to be a part of has been just pouring into young men that are hungry and available, and they're out there and they're wondering where we are, So that's kind of a call out. I'm saying if you have 4 hours, you can join crew staff and pour in. And literally, this Friday, I'm just going to meet with 2 guys at a coffee shop at 10 o'clock. I'll do adjustments. Well, I got a Bible study, hours of adjustments, the discipleship, lunch, and then back to adjusting, So I've been able to find a way to balance it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then do you think the mobile and just the way that you do chiropractic has been super beneficial?
Yeah, there's a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
There's so much freedom that naturally comes with that. I can set my hours. I was just talking with someone yesterday about how much I love Mondays now. Nobody loves Mondays, right? Because I think the reasons are obvious. We don't like Mondays, but it's just so early in the morning, 7 or 8 o'clock. So many people have to kind of get thrust out of the weekend into work. And I decided those are not my best hours. So I'd rather start those slow by reading, working out. And so I don't see a patient on Monday till noon. So that has been a gift. Well, a gift to myself.
Everyone listening is like, well, no wonder you love Monday.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been great to have that morning off, and not really off, just start intentionally. I'm not David Goggins. I'm not up at 3:30, but
oh my gosh. Yeah. We could start the whole debate that we had before.
Oh no.
We could do another topic. 3 a.m. Yeah.
The reason I'm on this podcast is I told them I could get Joseph Rogan on it, so that was the trade.
Right. That was the trade. Yeah.
I called him. He didn't pick up. So
we're still. So if anybody listening has a warm intro to Joseph Rogan,
we'll get him. Yeah.
Let's talk about the business side of things a little bit. So in business, there's the technician of the business who does the work, the chiropractor, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the business owner, the person who runs the operations, who's the leader, who's the visionary. Somebody like yourself has to be both of them. What do you enjoy more? What are you more gifted at?
Naturally, I'm more gifted at people, treatment, care, and literally caring for people. The skill of adjusting, those have become, very practiced, like adjusting people. And also I want to be with people, I don't love the introvert extrovert dichotomy because it's probably a spectrum, like a sliding thing. Yeah. Like I love people and I have some great friends in lacrosse, but not too many people really fill that cup like alone time does. So I guess I'm an introvert, but that loves people. I don't know. Maybe you guys have read books about that.
Yeah, it's like they have a name for it, but it's an extrovert who has to recharge as an introvert.
Yeah, I guess I'm like a phone. Like I have to play. I'm gonna run out. The battery, right?
Yep.
Maybe it's an ambivert. I don't know. but but I'm better at that. Admin doesn't come naturally. This is something I asked my wife Tressa, when did I become a perfectionist? Because I am not a perfectionist, and she's like, only when you started Victory. Like I had to develop some skill, some completely untrained muscles to like I don't like creatively, I don't like putting anything out. Like I don't like making a shirt or doing an ad before I think it's perfect or before I think it's really good. Maybe because I judge commercials and go, wow, what a waste of $1 million. Like, at Super Bowl commercials, I'm like, I don't know what you're selling, Anyway, but it's funny how like certain seasons of life like bring out different skills or different gifts and others go dormant. But admin's a little tricky. I think the hardest thing is switching. So on the Mondays, I'm in admin mode. Sometimes I'm just doing notes, billing, creative stuff, emails, whatever. And then, time to be a doctor. Like time to get out there and like adjust people. It's very different brain, different part of the brain. So that has been a little jerky sometimes because you have to wear both hats. You have to, or hire it out. And hiring it out, you can't have someone else do your notes. They weren't there. But so that is, there are some of those things are no fun. It's just part, like some of those things are behind the scenes. Like this is probably fun, but editing is probably no fun. Yeah. So do you guys hire that out?
No, we don't.
You like editing?
It's free for me.
Austin, he loves it. Okay, he walks out of the interview and he's done, and then I go home and start going to work.
They're paying you more though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
That's good.
We make the same.
Yeah. But you guys yeah, you guys, you got it. But the hats conversation, right? We all know other entrepreneurs, mutual friends of ours that they've had to throw on every hat. And I want you guys to know there was a time, probably 2 years of Victory, where I just did all of it. And I was like, there's a pride aspect in a bad way where you're like, well, I got it. Nobody else should touch this because they'll do it worse. That's pride. Finally, I was able to like unclench the schedule, like the route. Where am I going today? Because so Mondays I go lacrosse and we just, boom, 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 3:30, 4, 4:30, 5, 5:30, head home, maybe. Sorry, babe. I get to a lot of dinners. Not all of them. I try not to accept someone like in the 7 o'clock hour, 6:30 hours. You better be a close friend, because it's not fun to get home and have missed dinner. And being mobile, that is a downside. When are people home? They're home from 4 to 9. And when are people at their offices? So that is why I've been trying to push and grow my office side, because that's during the day. That's when. So it's nice to be kind of back home, and you don't want to miss dinner and bedtime and playing. So, but anyway, Mondays is lacrosse. Tuesdays is West Salem. That's probably my busiest practice, just by chance. And then Wednesday is a cleanup day of like lacrosse and some Holman. And then Thursday is Who Did I Miss? So it's a lot of Sparta, Holman, a lot of Onalaska. Onalaska is more of a Thursday day. And Friday, another lacrosse morning. So I'm usually downtown at businesses a Friday morning. And that's a lot of fun. I mean, the Fridays are always a fun spirit. So
was there a defining moment for you, Sid, when you had this pride that you were doing everything? What was the change moment for you?
I think it was stats, just simply stats. I got to a spot and I got to a number and I'm like kind of like freaking out. Like how am I going to do all of this with one person? Yeah. And I more quickly, and people have talked about how to grow, how to scale. That's not really on my mind right now because I don't want the quality to suffer, which could be pride. But it is, how do you find someone who,
it is inevitable that your employee is not going to care as much as you, and they are not going to do as good as you're doing. And how do you make them care?
Yes. And how do you make them care about the quality when this is your baby?
Yes.
And probably by paying more. But, and so maybe...
but at the end of the day, they still are not going to have the ownership and the
ownership.
Care.
So maybe the best route would be a total ownership split. I have to think through those questions. Like, how do you become bigger? Yeah. And I think it's hard to find someone that I know would be godly, that I can trust with, handing some off, and would do a good job and could be trained well, and it would be worth it financially for them. Why wouldn't they just do their own mobile thing? So why would it be? And yes, I have a lot to share, but do I have more than 2 months, maybe they do their own thing in a year. Yeah. But I'd love to team up with PT's massage therapist and that Victory would be bigger. Yeah. I think literally I'm not feeling called to it yet. I think I'm not going to force it until it's a calling.
Yeah.
You know, I just try to listen to that. But yeah. What were we talking about?
Yeah, just hiring employees and not.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of the 10-80-10 rule?
Tell me about that.
So the 10-80-10 for employees, if you're hiring somebody, you should never expect somebody to do 100% of the job. Unrealistic, like I said, they're not going to care as much as you do. But you can expect them to do 80% of the job that you do. And if you're doing 100% now, if you can leverage 80% of that and you take the first 10% is helping that person, setting them up for success. So teaching them what needs to be done, setting the expectation, setting the standard. They're going to do 80% of the work, and then you check the final 10%, review what they brought to you, make any tweaks and changes, and that's your product or service. So just, I think, not having the expectation that that person is going to do 100% of the work, but having standards and expectations that they do have to meet and align with your value and culture and stuff like that. So
that does help. That makes a lot of sense. To answer your question before, when I handed it off, I never really answered that. I eventually got a nice referral from a patient for someone who's a mom of 4 that was willing to put in, 10 hours a week. And that's all I need, and that's all she needs. And it has brought me so much work-life balance.
Awesome.
Because she sets the schedule. She knows, she checks in with everybody, makes sure people aren't traveling, are you home?
Yeah.
For the regulars who want Tuesday every other week, But my employee, Kelly, has definitely made Victory better. So I wonder what is the next step? Who is the next employee that could take more? And I mean, if you think about a bucket, you have to make the bucket bigger. And how do I make the bucket bigger? And our biggest limitation in life is probably time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So let's talk about the schedule.
Yeah.
So, and this relates back to real estate too, of like, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we can create our schedule. So I imagine there was a time that you never said no to people. Client, you're starting out, you want clients.
Yeah.
And if they say it's 6 o'clock, you're there at 6. And if it's in Sparta at 7, you're going to Sparta. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're
I
not
remember.
saying no.
I remember.
So how have you learned to take control of that? And is there times that if Tuesday is my Holman day and I'm one to get an adjustment and I'm on Alaska, are you saying no to me? Or are you how have you took control of that?
Yeah, I think the way mobile works, I think would make some brick and mortar people kind of not lose their minds, but it's so different. The way that the route system of I'm just one guy with a car, so we try our best to at least offer 3 times, maybe on Monday or Sunday of that week.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can find a time that, isn't way off. And I think after my second year, I started to say no. Yeah. I started to also what do you do when the person that is reaching out isn't that you're not the best skilled at that, but somebody else might be. And I have probably 3 chiropractors in the area that I trust a lot that I am willing to now go see them. I think for your situation, they'd be a better fit. And that's hard, because just a trade secret, most chiropractors think they're the best one and they think they have all the answers. So people, a fun myth is do you know this chiropractor? People always go to me and I'm like, we don't hang out. We all think we're the best. And why would we talk? So that is a funny thing. But I've actually started to break down that wall too, where if I have a second, I've just started to walk into practices in the area, tired of, hey, how have you met this chiropractor or my chiropractor? And tired of that going, we should talk, So that it's kind of funny seeing their faces hi, how do you begin the conversation?
Right.
I'm Dr. Patrick, the mobile guy. I've heard of you, and then I've heard great things about you. And I just want to be more mutualistic in general, as you can feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's where maturity leads.
So do you think saying no has benefited you financially? You know what
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it has. Do you think it could?
Quality of life, quality of your business?
I think it's more who wants to be that dad trope in the movies who isn't there for your kids? Who wants to miss out on your kids? Who wants to miss out on your kids growing up?
Yeah.
So that has definitely been okay, boundaries, so that nobody looks back and says, I wish I worked more.
Yeah.
So I think I am a little bit blessed where I'm probably adjusting 20 to 25 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would be like, wow, sounds great. But there is a lot of work behind, and that is, man, I'm tired. Some days are 8 hours.
Yeah.
Most shifts are I usually do shifts of 4 hours.
Okay.
Where it's 6 stops. But But yeah, I mean, how many movies have had that Disney dad? You were never there. I was supporting you. You know, like you want to, what they want is time, right? And your kids will tell you your currency, their currency, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I just think there's a ton of value in, as the business owner, establishing your schedule and not compromising that when you have a client that wants to meet. This for a real estate agent. Every real estate agent should be prospecting in the mornings, right? From 8 to noon, whatever it is, and holding that time sacred. If you have a client that wants to go see a house at 10 o'clock, that completely throws off your morning and your prospecting. So,
and then your other stuff gets pushed and
everything gets pushed back, and now you don't control your schedule and your clients control you. So, I think it's okay to say no. I think it's okay to establish some boundaries.
No is a yes for other things.
Yeah.
A no becomes a yes for something else.
Yep.
Right.
But I think ultimately, you are going to have better control over your business, and you ultimately will make more money, I think, if you establish that for yourself and establish a routine. So
yeah, and sometimes that yes to the wrong thing is fear. It's from fear. Like, what if I don't?
Yeah.
You know, I want to, you know, and maybe as you create that, you're going to grow anyway. You just have to have faith.
Yeah.
But, you know, one difference between, you know, I have some close buddies who are realtors, and one difference is, you know, you guys don't have a lot of repeat customers. And just in the nature of things, most people stick in a house for a while. Maybe not anymore. Maybe they're not just the classic 7-year family, you know, every 7 years. Is that stat still right?
Yeah. I mean, first-time home buyers usually in their first house for 5-ish years.
5-ish, yeah. So that can be a difference, you know, where I'm hoping to see someone again. But of course, I've become, you know, better at reading the room and asking people their goals. You know, like if I was seeing Keegan and he's like, I'm doing a lot better, not sure I'm that into maintenance, I'd be like, okay. Yeah. Like I don't pull teeth. You know, like if I've kind of said my thing, people like are into that or already were, you know, or they just wanted to fix something and they'll wait till it goes bad again. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah. I always think it's interesting having the business owner versus technician conversation because like myself, like I'm naturally more passionate about just being an entrepreneur than the actual business that I'm in. Like I could be selling popcorn, selling houses, selling bookkeeping services, selling the podcast. I enjoy the business building part of it more than anything. So I just find it interesting to have that conversation.
Yeah, it is. So you probably have more to say than me. Like, it sounds like you got some wisdom.
I don't know. We all learn stuff along the way, and I've learned a lot in the past 4 or 5 years.
Isn't it interesting when you haven't seen someone in a while and they're kind of like another, I don't know, a thought leader, a thought seeker, someone who's into wisdom. Like sometimes I ran into someone at Trader Joe's. I mean, you guys don't know because we don't have one. Yeah. But everyone at Trader Joe's is like your friend. So, but he's like, I haven't seen you in a while. What'd you learn this year? And I was like, put on the spot. And I think I answered him. I told him, like, you can always get more money, but you can never get more time. Yeah. That's what I told him. Yeah. I love concepts or conversations about time because we are trapped in it. Yeah. Or we can't get more.
Yeah. So it just keeps moving. It keeps moving faster. And
that's fine. God's not.
Especially for a mobile chiropractor. I mean, you're already providing and bringing such convenience to people. Sure. But you're also like,
I got to be in the car.
You're limited. Like,
I got to be in the car.
You can only be one place.
And so a brick and mortar person is like, well, I could never spend that much time in the car. I'm like, I'm not driving, south across Sparta, Trempolo.
How far do you scale out?
I just, because of those zones, I'm headed down to La Crosse on a Monday, and each trip should be about 3 minutes, hopefully, if we line it, to the next close person. If it's like, if I meet, when someone says, hey, can I get adjusted? It's always, where do you live? And then, as you're talking about shepherding your schedule, it's like, great, I'm open on Tuesday. So, based on what they say. Zones is how I think you have to do it. But I'm not alone being mobile, but you should know this, 39 out of 40 chiropractors are brick and mortar. So it is, I am a zebra.
Are you the only mobile guy in town?
Yeah. Okay. I should probably trademark that victory crown, but or the word victory. But someone could just be like, I'm victory now too. Oh, shoot.
Oh, you look different than the business.
Jamie, pull that clip with the bears and the crown. No, there is no other mobile chiropractor within 100 miles, maybe 300 miles, or we'll say 200 miles. There is like a Upper Twin Cities one, I think. Okay. And then there was one in Madison. They went brick and mortar. They gave up. They sold out. And then maybe East Coast, but East Coast of Wisconsin, Malibu, or sorry, Sheboygan, the Malibu of the Midwest.
Yeah.
That's literally how they define it.
That's how they do
They're
it.
like, if you can't go out to Malibu, try
Just
Sheboygan.
come and surf in Sheboygan, which when I was there, totally off topic. I can't believe I've even stayed on topic this whole time.
I prefer when we're not.
I was out there in knee-deep water, Lake Michigan, and I could not, if you talk about fear and rational fear, I could not push it out of my mind that a shark could be there. Like
Hey, they
maybe,
found him in Iowa, man.
yeah, if they were, like a bull shark kind of like, wriggled in from the Atlantic, down from, I don't know the waterways. They could be in there and I would be the guy. Like, I'm not a victim mentality guy, but like, I was just out there, like it was getting a little deep and I'm like, there could be. And I've been like, what shadow? Was that a shadow? And it's seaweed. But
I will not swim with our seaweed. Won't do it. Hate it when it touches my leg. I find it gross.
just seen it. I've just seen too many videos, and I'm not going to be the guy who got bit by the bull shark or died. And what if that guy, if he was there, he's probably hungry. So
Right.
yeah, I can't do it.
Everybody thinks I'm not going to be the guy that died. by the
No,
bull
but
shark.
but then you are.
That
Buy some life insurance.
the first time I ever saw a shark scuba diving, man, I
Oh no.
vision went blurry.
Oh,
Like,
no.
it was crazy.
You're
It
like,
was-
I know
It was from me to you away, and it just appeared. It was just there. It was cloudy water. We were 50 feet underwater, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Give me out.
That's a hard no.
Give me
I,
out.
I snorkel in Hawaii, but there was it got cloudy and people were, the beach is kind of like, hey guys, like maybe get out. And then I think there was a shark sighting and I'm like, it's a hard pass.
I want to.
That's hard.
There's a place. So I'm going to the Bahamas next week, and there's a
And
place.
you're staying out of the water, right?
I am not. It's unlimited scuba diving at the resort we're at. So
okay. These are nice sharks, though. That's what they said.
there's a place.
They trained them.
There's a
Sounds
place
like
called
that's
Tiger
trained by a
Beach in the Bahamas. It's not going to be close enough to
Tiger
where we're
Shark
at, unfortunately.
Beach, right?
Yeah. And you go and you jump in, and there's hundreds of sharks, and these massive tiger sharks and bull sharks.
How
and
big?
Big.
Jamie,
But I
pull
want
out
to do
clip
that
with the
just
shark.
to, just to get over the fear of it. You know what I mean? Like, just to confront the fear of it head on, and people don't get attacked there.
No, but see, like,
Well, you
I
would,
get that.
though.
I don't get the
Just you.
sentiment of like, well, attack the fear head on. I live in Wisconsin.
I'm
like,
good.
I honestly have no reason to confront fear of sharks.
It's just the
I'm in lacrosse.
mental toughness thing, man.
Mental toughness.
Yeah.
I'd rather sit in an ice bath. I'm good. Which I don't want to do. That
That's
sounds
tough
terrible.
too.
Yeah,
I've
but
tried that for a little bit.
I feel like I've gotten a lot of benefits. Just to, I don't know, to segue a little bit.
Yeah.
I got an idea. I think one of these what can people do now? Little health tips and
Yeah,
stuff.
I was
like
just
that.
gonna ask
Yeah.
that.
If some things that have helped me a lot or help patients a lot outside of adjustments that can be done right now would be, for low back pain, I would say, would be strengthening your core and strengthening your glutes, because sitting, they get weak. So a stronger core and stronger glutes is going to give you less low back pain for most people. That comes the reason is these get weak, so other things get tight, and those tight things pull on the back. So some of that back pain is truly from weakness. So that's been an epiphany, learning from PTs about that. The tight things would be your hip flexors and your back muscles. So I would literally tell people, hopefully that aren't in pain, but just want to have less pain, to start working on their core and glutes more often. For neck stuff, if you ever have a headache, and you just can't get to your chiropractor, I have to plug chiro, because sometimes it really is the best thing you could do. Is like you could do everything else, but it's still twisted, Anyway, the things I've loved is going on a run. Not everyone can run. Wintertime is harder, right? But a 2-mile run just helps the lactic acid buildup get gone, maybe from a prior lift. It helps the blood flow. It helps the mind clear. And then ending that with a hot shower and turning it cold at the end. I just feel like that's a great way that I've chased away some tension headaches without drugs. Both of those were free, right? It just cost me about 40 minutes. So,
No free lunches.
no free lunch.
There is a free lunch. I've had
It's
it.
kind of free, but you lost 40 minutes.
Yes.
So, no, you paid for that. But,
You pay for the shoes that are on your feet. And the...
I barefoot run.
This was our discussion before the podcast.
I'm not doing that. We're all that leads to some, because a headache oftentimes is truly an excited nerve. And I don't mean, yay, it's the weekend excited. Like it's firing too much because of tension on it. And it's telling a blood vessel that it should be a normal diameter to be constricted. And that is a headache. Many headaches are a constricted blood vessel, which is why a blood thinning medication helps some headaches, because you're helping the blood flow and it's too much. But how can you affect that? Well, a run, will affect the dilation and constriction of blood vessels, and so will hot and cold. So I think it's right to mess with those things, and you can lead to you can chase away some tension headaches. Along with that, I think I would top that off with electrolyte-filled water. So your basic way is squeezing limes or lemons or adding Celtic salt in, but I've switched over to some supplements that are electrolyte-based, and I have seen my tension headaches that have remained. Chiropractic didn't chase all of them away, but I've seen my tension headaches that have remained go, half again, even less so. Because some headaches are not a misalignment of the neck, right? It is, you forgot to eat. You're not hydrated. So, especially in the winter and especially at night, we just we never really get enough water. And so I know that's basic, drink water. But I've got friends who just don't drink water or hate water. I'm like, make it fun. Add something fun. Add a little powder of something. So I think those two things could chase a lot of tension headaches away, and my prior comments could help some back pain long term.
And so maybe ready? That's why we edit. So maybe to leave us off, earlier you were talking about like there's like the 5 main like trademarks or skills that you do as a chiropractor. So like if somebody's looking for a chiropractor and why they should choose Victory, like what does your care and treatment look like? Like what are some of the things that you're doing that either set yourself apart or like holistically are a benefit of how you personally do care?
Yeah. I think the number 1 and 2 reasons people pick me or choose to give me a call are trust. I mean, that's La Crosse, right? We're a small town. It's not New York City. Like, I think it feels great to go with someone that your friend is raving about, right? So word of mouth will always be the way I meet most of my people, no matter if I spend more money on Facebook or billboards or something. But the second way people usually find me is that they find out there is a mobile chiropractor. I have met a lot of people just out at Woodman's, and they're like, let's do this. Like, I didn't know you existed, because I don't have a storefront. So my only advertising is Instagram and my car, that says Victory on it. But what sets me apart as far as my skills, I do have specific training from the ICPA, about 2 years of full weekends on prenatal and pediatrics, so moms and babies. Once I had my kids, that passion developed, where maybe at one point 8 years ago, I was afraid to hold a baby, like hold them like they're a bomb, like, and now I'm like, oh, give me that baby, so, and then they spit up on you and you're like, oh, never mind. But my point is I love working with babies, no pops, you don't pop babies, but birth can be quite traumatic on the upper neck, and that can lead to not nursing on each side very well. It can lead to spitting up, misalignment in the upper neck can lead to colic, and misalignment in the lower body can lead to constipation, like they're not pooping every day. When babies are pooping and nursing, everybody's happy. And when they're not, nobody's happy.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
And I do love to work with babies and see how fast they turn around. They're babies. So like do you think they'd heal faster than a 50-year-old? They sure do. Usually like 1 or 2, focused adjustments can turn them around. And then I tell people, hey, if they're showing one of the top 5 symptoms I mentioned, give me a call. But now mamas, pelvis can get all twisted up and baby can start going sideways or worse, breech. There's a technique called Webster's technique, and it's taught to some chiropractors. No chiropractor should try it unless they actually know what they're doing. But it's a series or style of adjustments and holds that will help mama untwist the pelvis. We don't touch the stomach. That's obstetrics or OBGYNs. But our job is to adjust the pelvis and low back. And then usually I get a text saying baby flipped, baby's head down. So that's been pretty marvelous and pretty cool. I've even had some like, what do you call it? Like 4th quarter texts like, hey, I'm 38 weeks. I've heard about getting adjusted for turning my baby, and I'm like, let's try it, like let's give it a whirl, and the babies went head down. So I mean, how can you not get excited about that?
That's a repeat. That's a
Yeah.
for sure repeat.
I'm telling
line.
everybody. I'm telling every sister I know. But and the other things that God has led me on a path of that I didn't leave school with would be working with athletes. I just love working with someone who's got goals. I know chiropractic is very good at helping low back pain and headaches. That's kind of what we're known for. We are good at that. We have good research on that. But I love when someone's like, I want to perform better. And we start adjusting them and their performance goes up and we can track it. Like they're squatting deeper or they're squatting heavier. They're able to run faster. Like, how could you not get excited about that? Mm-hmm. And performance is not pain-based. It's the opposite. It's like, it's health, it's past pain into like the levels of how well can a human perform. And I think, as you probably have heard someone say before, like the top athletes are getting adjusted. Yes, they're doing everything else. LeBron James spends what, $1 million on health? $2 million?
Yeah.
You're a big LeBron James guy.
I am actually a very big sports person, but I don't know.
I made that up.
I've heard the number before. But yeah, I mean, it's probably like
but
at least that.
Aaron Rodgers' dad is a chiropractor. You can't bring up his family because it gets dicey, but so edit that out, Jamie. But, the top athletes all get adjusted. They know the secret that it's going to boost performance, and they want anything they can get to get a competitive advantage. It's been fun to work with a lot of CrossFit athletes and, watch them perform or rehab them from an injury. And the last person is students. I just want to be with students because I feel like they are so coachable and available, and so maybe that can develop some discipleship relationships, or even pay it forward. I was the student with headaches, and I've always wanted to. I have a student day on Fridays, and it's been a place where I can help students get the care they need. And I'll admit it's discounted so they can afford it because we know students have $20 in their wallet, but I want to help. I want to see their headaches go away. Where are the Patricks out there with headaches that don't know how to get rid of them? And if chiropractic's the answer. So I would say athletes, mamas and babies, and then anybody who has goals and wants to use me as part of reaching them, and anyone who loves the idea of mobile, where convenience is their most important thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where can people go to find out more about you?
I'd say my Instagram or victorymobilechiro.com, or give me a text. You don't have to become a patient to text me or ask me a health question. I know that sounds like all the barriers are dropped, but they are. That's kind of how I am. If you don't know me, open book. So,
cool.
That'd be great. So thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being
here.
Thanks
so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We sincerely hope that you found value in today's episode and learned at least one thing that you can take back and implement into your lives and businesses. As always, we appreciate your support and hope you can all find a way to pay it forward this week.